What's going on, you guys? Kenny here, also known as Silent Fan 85. Welcome to another vlog. Gonna get kind of personal, so bear with me. Um, this is gonna sound really weird, but I just got through watching probably one of the most surprisingly touching movies ever. Um, I just got through watching the Jay and Silent Bob reboot. If you haven't seen it yet, it's obviously based on the '90s characters Jay and Silent Bob. Chasing Amy, Clerks, you know, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and I grew up on these guys. I'm a big fan of Kevin Smith, have been. He's a decent director. He's especially good at comedy, especially off cuff comedy, stoner comedy, as a lot of people call it. But I gotta say, I didn't know what to expect with the reboot, and it got me thinking. Well, it was a collective of things that got me thinking, and I don't want to give any spoilers, but there were some really touching uh, father moments in the movie. Um, Pretty well rounded, actually. Um, but it got me thinking. I've personally, I'm not exactly a Romeo kind of thing, but I have gotten around, so to speak. I'm 36 now, getting closer to 40 with every year. Um, and I bring up getting around, not to gloat or anything, but sometimes in life it throws you a loop. You can find out that you might have a kid. You know. Now I don't think this is true for me. I don't know uh, if that'll ever happen. I mean, that's a bit of a really out there idea, but um, it wasn't. I thought at some point I might be a father, and it might still happen. But with my father's recent passing, my dad was in and out of my life. But near the end, probably last 8 to 10 years, him and I kind of reconciled a bit and had a bit of a distant relationship. But we talked, and he gave me some advice every so often. And what I wanted to do with this video is kind of share some of my advice and wisdom, as it were. I mean, look, I'm not the most successful guy. I've done stuff I've wanted to do. I've lived a life I've wanted to live. Unfortunately, not without a dark side to it. But I've done things that not a whole lot of people have gotten to do. Really awesome charity work, awesome community and online, and um, seen things, lived through things that not a whole lot of people do. So what I figured I'd do is this will be a bit of a long vlog, bit of a ramble vlog, but bear with me. I just wanted to share some tidbits here and there of stuff that I've encountered that may be helpful advice in no particular order, but basically for life in general or things you may come across. And if you want to get into the deeper stuff, the other channel, Silent Thoughts, is where I'm working on for the deeper stuff. But this is just, the general things about happiness, living your life, so on and so forth. Um, Stuff I've found in a generalized situation that may or may not help somebody. Now, with all this said, before I get into it, I've tried to do that with my channel throughout the years, with streaming, with reaching out to people, because obviously with YouTube, with Twitch, with gaming, it can be a very broad audience, a lot of age groups. There's even people that have grown up watching the content here on the channel. There are people that have grown up, friends of mine, that have great communities on their channels. People who have been with them for a long time. Um, and that's saying something. I mean, because you don't really get to do that a whole lot when you're just a normal person. But I'm anything but normal. I always have been. I mean, let's be honest. Anybody in their right mind or, um, abnormal, anybody abnormal would start doing this unless they felt compelled to do so, either for money or attention, or in my case, look, straight up, I come from a long line of preachers, um, evangelists, ministry folk. While I don't exactly click with that mindset, it's still in my blood, so to speak. I come from a long line of folks that, like to spread a message. I don't necessarily have to agree with the message to know that I come from a long line of that. My dad did it. Um, and what I've tried to do is spread a good message, spread an awesome message as much as I can. Although I'm not without folly because I'm human. Um, I've had my weird moments, my dark moments, my happy moments, down moments. But that's life. To be human means to have a plethora of all kinds of moments because that's all life is. It's a series of moments, personal moments, public moments, embarrassing moments, especially when you're in this, this line of doing things. But anyway, to get to it, when it comes to some advice that I would potentially give a kid of my own, um, it's pretty cliche, but don't let life stop you. Don't let life put you in a bubble, put you in a box, um, because you are a singularity. You are unlike anybody else, as much as society may want you to believe that it's not true. You are special. You're awesome. And to let the world tell you otherwise is just idiotic. To believe the world is idiotic. To believe anybody on this planet, including myself, that would tell you that you are nobody, you're nothing but a statistic, is stupid. Because every single one of us, whether it's for good or ill, has a part to play on this planet. There is a connective, and when I say connective, I mean a grid in life, I believe, that we're all a part of. We either help people or we hurt people, even with our everyday decisions. We smile at somebody, we cuss somebody out, we give somebody the finger, we wave at somebody. It either brightens their day or it may even go unnoticed, but somewhere along the way, much like that whole butterfly effect, it can mean something greater, whether you realize it or not. It's really a bit of a gamble. Um, being nice to somebody probably brightens their day, which means they'll pay it forward. Or being nice to somebody probably annoys them and it makes their day worse. Either way, you have an impact. And let's face it, there are some very sour people that when you try to be nice to them, they don't exactly like it. Or if you're just in a bad mood, which happens too. And moods are purely human. And they happen. They ebb and flow. One thing to note about moods is that while moods may be temporary and they're seasonal, if you have mental difficulties, they can be one of the worst things ever because you turn into somebody you don't want to. And especially if you're bipolar. Mental difficulties are a lifelong struggle. They are an unspoken struggle. They are a blind struggle to the general public because as of this recording, I'm hoping it's better for the future. If this is 20, 30 years from now, hopefully there's a better understanding in society as a whole for mental difficulties and mental struggles. Hopefully we wake up to that. But for now, we're just now, even in the last 30, 40 years, starting to understand mental difficulties. It's ever evolving. There's always different terms for it because it's always evolving. It's always being applied in one way or another. But one general rule of somebody with mental difficulties, or if you think they have mental difficulties, be kind, be understanding. Sometimes it's the hardest thing to do because you are going to have prejudice, you are going to have anger, you are going to have, and those are separate. You may even have annoyance or not understanding why people are the way they are. The best thing you can do is just remember that people are people. To accept people is to accept a range and a variation of moods and disabilities, attitudes, outlooks, views, opinions. Nothing is solid. The only solid fact in life is life. it may not make any sense, but life is a plethora of everything. This universe that we're a part of is a plethora of everything. While personally I may not believe in a hierarchy to this universe, you can look that up at some point if you want to, if you don't know what I'm talking about. This universe as a whole is us. We are a part of it. We are a part of something greater. Something that remains unseen for now, but at some point, science, hopefully, will further explain it, because science is ever evolving. It's always doubling in or doubling down on itself when done correctly. And I think at some point, not everything will be explained, but we will have a firm grasp and understanding as to why we're here. There is going to be things in life that we can't explain. Given time, I think we will. But for now, there's always going to be mystery. Humanity is one of the greatest things to ever come into the universe, in my opinion, but it's also the worst. Because we're night and day. For all of our good, we have equal bad. For all of our equal bad, we have equal good. For all of our charity, we have suffering. But that's where everything equals out, and there has to be balance. There has to be balance, both in your life and in the world. For every light, dark, for every dark, light. You can't have one or the other. Nothing can be too perfect, but nothing can be too crummy either, you know. And on that relative note, never get too comfortable with anything. I think if you start to become way too comfortable with something, overly comfortable, you are setting yourself up for downfall. You definitely need to learn to relax. You need to learn to breathe, take it all in, but at the same time also be vigilant for pitfalls and anybody that would try to bring you down or anything that would try to stop you. Unfortunately, when you get too comfortable, that can turn into addiction. And that's something you need to watch out for, especially in life, especially if you lead a very rough life, especially if you live paycheck to paycheck, especially if you have medical conditions you have to suffer through. Addiction can be a very real thing, especially if you don't understand who you are and where you come from. History is very important. History teaches us what we can do better and what we shouldn't do again. Now, unfortunately, human beings have a very, very bad habit of repeating ourselves, both personally and as a species. We never really seem to learn. It just seems to be a cycle. But it's up to you, if you're a part of a cycle, to break that. For me personally, the cycles that I've broken, at least on my part, is alcoholism, drug abuse, and a bunch of other stuff that runs in my family. I believe this is due to undiagnosed mental difficulties. I see plenty of evidence all around. It's sometimes hard to get family to see that, especially when your family, thinks it's just something you can get over. But if you live in a normal way of life, where the bad stuff is a normal happening or a normal occurrence, it becomes acceptable. That's where you got to break the cycle. That's where you got to stop, analyze, and learn what you can about where you come from. If you feel that you're being abused, if you feel that you're being manipulated, odds are you probably are. 90% of the time. 10% of the time, you might just be a drama queen. Or king, as it were, too, to be equal. But it's still important to talk about it. It's still important to bring it up. And life itself will see it through. We're all going to be dealt bad hands. We're all going to have rough times. Unfortunately, a lot of us are lifelong rough times, but That's what makes us stronger. But that doesn't mean that it justifies what you go through. If anybody ever tries to tell you that's just the way things are, that's bullshit. It is total bullshit. I have heard that throughout my life, and I don't believe a damn word of it. Because the way things are is the way things used to be, and not the way things could be. For example, slavery used to be a normal way of life. People believed it would never change, and yet it did. The earth, it was flat. That was just the way people understood it. But science proved otherwise. But the people back then that tried to prove it otherwise were mocked, burned at the stake sometimes. So if you think that your idea or the way you see things is dumb and people mock it, go with it. As long as it doesn't hurt anybody, go with it. Humanity is always learning. And hopefully one day we'll learn to break our own cycles. But it's up to us to break the personal struggles that we go through. I've tried to do that with my life. I've tried to take the qualities of my bloodline and turn it towards something personal. Streaming and video games, while at the same time preaching a decent message, a good message, as much as I can. You know, I'm just a lowly guy with maybe a bit of an ego. I definitely have a little bit of an ego, which isn't a bad thing, by the way. I believe ego can save your life. It saved mine. And if you don't know that story, I tried to commit suicide, contemplated it, was going to act on it, but then I made a phone call, checked myself in for 4 or 5 days. And to be honest, I prayed. I prayed to whoever would listen. It eventually hit me. I needed to save myself. But I also had family that helped me. But it would only happen if I did it myself. I would have to pay for any repercussions that would come about of my actions, and so would my family. I wasn't selfish enough to think that even if they do hurt, or even if they are hurt by my actions, I don't care. Thankfully, being the kind of guy I am saved my life. And because that's a part of me, I saved myself. Ego and selfishness can be lifesavers, but you don't want to go overboard. If somebody calls you selfish, and it's for a good reason, it's not a bad thing. As long as nobody's getting hurt, as long as nobody's being denied anything or crying because of it, you do what you got to do, you know? With that said, be kind to family. Don't take your family for granted. Family is one of the best things in life for those that are worth it. Family is not an all-encompassing excuse for them to treat you like shit. If they treat you like shit, they're not family. Maybe by blood, but not by the kindness of their heart and what family should be. Family is a universal term. It can be blood, they can be adopted family, they can be friends, they can be, or for me, the online community. Every family has its bad apples, but family respects each other. Family looks out for each other as much as you can, even if you are very bad at keeping in touch with them, which is me. I get caught up in my own world. I'm currently repairing myself and rebuilding after everything I went through the last 5 years of my life. I've seen a lot happen in 5 years. I've lost loved ones. I've had loved ones locked up. Seen things as a big brother that a big brother should never see. I've seen things as a son that a son should never see, as an uncle, as a human being. I've been through more in the past 5 years than I'd like to remember, but it happened. And one solid thing throughout all of it that helped keep me sane, well, 2 things. Gaming, 1. But number 2, truth. Throughout everything I've been through the last 5 years and throughout my whole life, is that truth is a matter of perspective when it comes to personal insight. I lived a life, I played a role for the longest time as a kid, throughout my teenage years and throughout my early 20s. But when I hit my 30s, something cataclysmic happened, but also acted as a catalyst for me to be, for lack of a better word, reborn. It's funny. Most of the times in situations like this, somebody is saved from a religious standpoint. They go through life not really knowing what they want. They become a part of something greater by giving their heart to a deity. For me, it was the exact opposite. And it is one of the most awakening things I've ever been through. As dark as it was, I am finally coming to terms with who I really am and what I really hold true. I cannot explain how scary it is to know yourself for so long or think you know yourself, and then have something happen to transform who you are, to wipe away any teachings of your childhood, to wipe away any pillars that were a part of your life, and to come crashing down and hit rock bottom. It is one of the scariest fucking things you'll ever go through. But you will go through it. Some more impactfully than others. Rather small or big impact. We all go through it. And what really matters is the choices we make afterwards and what we do with that. And I just hit the camera, I apologize. And what we do with those choices we have left. Like I said, I don't know how much life, things can end. My father was around 58 when he passed. I expected him to live a year, probably 10 years or so ago. I probably would have told you, the guy's going to live till he's 90, 95 because he was such a bear. I mean, he was just full on, he was one of the strongest dudes I'd ever met. Not exactly the most consistent, but still, he was a bullheaded fellow, that's for sure. With a great heart. And I think that, I get that from him. I have a strong heart. I really do. And very big heart. And that can be a bad thing sometimes. But the point is, his death taught me that there comes a point in life, one of my favorite lines from an Indiana Jones film. There's one point in life where we're given everything. But then there comes a point in life to where the universe starts taking things away. That's basically it in a nutshell. I paraphrased a little bit. But there's truth in that, because when we reach a certain age, when we reach a certain point in life, things get taken away. We start getting older. Things start failing. Your body's only built to last so long, with current science, anyway. The human brain is a marvel of nature. The human brain is who we are. Without the brain, we're nothing. Obviously, without a heart, we're nothing. But without the brain, there's no consciousness. There's no personality. There's no, sentient intelligence. Take care of your brain. Even if your brain is injured, even if your brain is off as to what some people would call normal. Your brain is comprised of electrical impulses, meat, chemicals. It's all up here, man. And it's important to take care of it. It's also important what you put in it. Keep learning. Never stop learning. Never stop flexing and growing this muscle and these muscles. Look, I don't have a whole lot here. I worked out a lot as a kid, but lately I let myself go. And I'm going to pay for those choices later in life. Unfortunately, I'm working on them now, but my weight has gotten out of hand with everything I've been through the last 5 years. I have high blood pressure. I have Hashimoto's disease. I have psoriasis, psoriatic arthritis. I was diagnosed bipolar. I have a lot going on. And like I said, at one point I wanted to give up and give in. But to find that strength within ourselves to never give up and never give in, whether it be ego, whether it be family, friends, whatever keeps us going, it's all you. It's all in you, in here, and in here. Even the strongest of us have our weakest moments. And rather you rely on religion or science, or for me, it's me. I found the strength in myself to keep going. And friends and family helped me along the way. All you needed was a spark. All you needed was just a little bit of hope, a little bit of hope. And the right friends and family, or the right people in your life, can help with that. And if there's nobody in your life to help with that, do it for yourself. Don't let go of that little light that you have, that little bit of hope, that little bit of strength. Never let it go, and it can be something in the darkness. One of my scariest dreams, and one of the things that really got caught up when I was at the darkest point in my life, was being in a dark room like I was as a kid, when I was locked in a dark room, forced to clean up human feces of a guy that, well, to put it in water word, it's not exactly politically correct, but he had mental retardation, what they called it at the time. 35-year-old body with the mind of a 6-year-old. Scariest thing I've ever been in. I can further explain the situation, but it's just, as much as I went through in that situation in my life, it's also a bit of a perfect example of what people go through mentally. You're going to feel lost in darkness. You're going to feel like there's an enemy on the side of the door laughing at you, locking you in with an unknown threat that could go either way, lurking in the darkness. But it's up to you to survive. It's up to you to fight. And luckily, we do that. Our brains are built to survive. We are survivors. That's what human beings as a species has been doing for thousands of years. We have survived different ice ages. We have survived global calamities. We have survived predators. We've survived wars. We've survived all the bullshit that this world can throw at us. I think the only thing that hasn't been thrown at us is a large meteor attack. But even some life survived that, even if it's bacteria, because life goes on. We are life itself, exploring. We're learning. We're seeing what we're capable of. And there's strength in that. That's what I find strength in, is knowing that I'm a part of a legacy, a human legacy, that we keep going. This is my life. I've lived the life I wanted to live, although it's a bit damaged. Some things I wanted to do, but I haven't been able to do yet. I might be able to someday. But I've done things that are commendable and respectable. And other people told me it's a lost cause. What are you going to do? People have told me, what am I going to do just playing video games? And the cat's in the room. You hear the cat in the background. People have said, what are you going to do playing video games? What good can come of you playing video games? Well, I have broken a world record, even if unofficially, raised money for charity, helped people, relearned about myself a bit, and I've been through a lot. Gaming has helped my life. It helped me with reading, it helped me with learning, it helped me with all kinds of stuff. Never let anybody tell you that video games cannot impact a life, either for negative or positive. For me, it was highly positive. Especially Japanese RPGs. Japanese RPGs help me with my critical thinking. They help me with my reading comprehension. They help me with storytelling. They help me with friendships. They help me with lessons in history, lessons in religion, lessons in companies trying to take over the planet, you know. Taught me about the Gaia theory via Final Fantasy VII. Energy going into and out of the planet, and how that energy can be manipulated and sapped. That can be dangerous for the planet. It basically led to me researching recycling and see what we can do to help our planet. Because while it was a video game, especially RPGs, are a story written by human beings that have a touch of human experience in them, that thereby translates into our brain as lessons for life. If you glean that. Video games, for the most part, except for shooter games, maybe, especially RPGs, are interactive novels. They're written word presented in a different format that's highly interactive. There are people that don't realize that. They're movies, very long movies, especially the Final Fantasy series, which I'm a huge fan of. World of Warcraft, which I'm a huge fan of. Xenosaga, which I'm a huge fan of. There are glimpses of truth in every written word, whether it's digital or on paper or in an old book. Written word is one of the greatest things man has ever created. Unfortunately, written word can sometimes be used for ill, but at the same time, there are lessons in it. There are moral lessons in it, ethics, philosophy, take your pick, whether it's for fantasy or for fiction. Written word is one of the greatest things man has ever done, aside from fire or porn. Um, and to put truth in words is one of the greatest things you can hand down. For me, it'll be these videos. For me, it's this channel. I don't know how long it'll be up. I don't know, where I'll be when it goes down, if I'm even still around. That whole channel could be wiped out a year or two from now because of some copyright stuff, or YouTube could be sold off and they redo the videos. They'd piss off a lot of people. I would obviously lose years of work, but so be it. I mean, even if I help somebody, even if I had an impact in somebody's life by just trying to be a good guy, streaming videos, it was better for the worth it. It was better for it. It was worth it. I get my words mixed up. It's funny, I count myself as a bit of a wordsmith, but we all stumble. This has got to be one of the longest vlogs I've ever done, aside from the live vlogs, which I was actually going to do tonight, but it seemed the universe was telling me to record it because my upload speed was horrible. So here I am. And it'll probably take forever to upload. But it's worth it. Anything you do in life that has a positive outcome, any sort of positive outcome, even if it's overwhelmed with negative outcome, that can help somebody is worth it. And maybe my advice will, maybe my voice will, maybe my Silent Bob-esque demeanor will. I don't know if I have kids. Like I said, I got around. Obviously, I used protection as much as I could, but I had my moments of weakness. And, that's the truth in life. If you're going to have sex, or if you're going to initiate in fluid exchange of any type, be safe, especially nowadays. But I'd want them to know that I may not know you, I may not ever meet you or know about you, but I love you. And I say that for everybody, not just any kid I may or may not have. My life has been a soap opera, as we all are. And that's life. There's a ratio to life. Some of us have a more negative life, some of us have a more positive life, but it fluctuates. And what we do with it and the attitude we keep towards it is what matters the most. And the people we care for and love is really what it all comes down to. And I wish you the best. I hope the best for you. Hopefully you're staying safe and staying sane. And we all need something. We all need something for ourselves. That's important. Never forget that. Even if you become a parent, whether it's kids, adoption, pets, whatnot, taking care of parents, taking care of a niece, a nephew, taking care of yourself is important. Always take a little something for yourself. Keep a little something for yourself. That is so important to remember, because if you give it all, there's nothing left. And you can become a husk and enter a dark period. You got to remember, you also need something. You also need time. You need space. You need to thrive. But also give. as much as you take. There's the balance in it. Give as much as you take. If you want to be a bit more of a saint, give a lot more, but take a little too. Don't give it all. Take a little for yourself. That's important. Be selfish in that regard. If people tell you that that's a bad thing, don't do that. Just be a person that gives everything. Personally, I see that as bullshit. I live that life. I live that way. I denied myself for a long time. I tried to make people happy. I tried to impress everybody. I didn't really look out for myself. I didn't really care for myself in ways. And I tried to find truth in serving something else instead of myself. And for me, that ended badly. And it could have ended a lot worse, but thankfully, I caught myself. One of the techniques I found that really helped me, as self-serving as this may seem, was picturing myself hugging myself and saving myself. In my darkest period, one of the moments I remember and one of the thoughts I had, because my brain was at war with itself, was a bit of an epic scene, a bit of a drama of me holding myself and another version of me is dying in its arms. And I'm cradling myself as I'm literally dying, coughing my last breath. And I'm screaming up, saying, "You're awesome. You're awesome. Save yourself." And that stuck with me. I mean, as weird as it sounds, that stuck with me. And it always will. So if that helps, maybe it'll help for you to picture that. Picture who you are saving yourself and repeating to yourself as you think you're at your end that you're awesome and to never let life get you down otherwise. We all need a little something, especially for ourselves. And drink when I say the word self again. I think that's all I got for now. I'll probably do another life advice at some point, but this, these videos are my legacy. Aside from the people that I help or impact, whether it's negative or positive. Like I said, at this point, I'm not a father, and I don't know how my life will go from at this point. But what I do know is that I'm currently in the process of pushing my life forward again and restarting. I've been constantly restarting the last 5 years. I've been trying to get back on my feet, plant my flag somewhere, and do something about it. I'm hoping that works out. So, it's best I can do is do what I can and go from there. That's something my dad taught me. He said, just do your damnedest and hopefully it works out. Because circumstances a lot of times can be against us, but it's important to keep fighting. It's important to keep surviving. And when you're done surviving, thrive. When you've hit a point that you're not just surviving anymore, you can thrive. And that's important. I don't know if I'll ever marry again. I don't know, again, if I'll ever have kids or what may come of me. But what I do know is that I have lived a hell of a life so far. And there's even more to come. There's a lot more to come. And one thing I do know is that I will make it through it, no matter what it may be, because I'm a part of a human legacy that survives. We've caused war, we've caused chaos, but we've also done a lot of good, made a lot of progress. Oh, also, although I preach to the contrary on some of these videos. Keep up on your politics. I know a lot of people are against politics, but politics can be important. Don't kid yourself with thinking that it's not important to vote or it's not important to stay engaged with who you're electing as a leader. Don't elect lame ducks. Don't go after tyrants. Look for somebody with a proven history of caring for human beings, of fighting for them. Don't just go based off words. Research your leaders. Don't just look at commercials, propaganda, because if you're uninformed, you'll believe anything. Do yourself a favor and do some research. I know it can be exhausting. I know people don't want to, but it works against the system that is built on voting and electing somebody when you don't do any kind of research and you let yourself believe that I know what I'm talking about. Look up facts to back it up. Also, try not to vote based on your religion. Try to vote based on your humanity. What betters humanity? Beliefs are a great thing, but facts of humanity and facts of your country and what your country may need based on evidence is important. That would be my advice. Stay informed. It's really important. So anyway, thanks for watching. That's all I got for now. If you made it this far, congratulations. You just watched one of my longest ever recorded vlogs. And I think it was pretty decent. Stay safe, stay sane. Remember, you're awesome. Promise me you'll remember that. And never let the world tell you otherwise. See ya.